friends, in our previous class, we had agreed that communication plays a key role in the success of a manager. The word communication has been derived from the Latin word communis, which means common, which consequently implies common understanding. A manager may possess professional knowledge and intelligence, but becomes immaterial if he is not able to communicate effectively with his subordinates and create understanding in them. Organizations always emphasize on improving communication skill of managers as well as the employees. There are certain key elements of communication. Communication, it is defined as a systemic and continuous process of exchange of ideas, views, facts, informations, feelings, etc. between people to create a common understanding. The process involves elements like source, encoding, media or channel, receiver and decoding. Noise and feedback in between also exist. The sender is the source of communication who conveys his thoughts, ideas to the receiver. The content of ideas, feelings, suggestions intended to be communicated is called the message. Encoding is the process converting the message into communication symbols such as words, pictures, gestures, etc. Media is the path through which encoded message is transmitted to the receiver. The channel may be in written form, face-to-face, phone call, internet, etc. Decoding is the process of converting encoded symbols of the sender. Receiver is the person who receives the communication of the sender. Feedback also includes all those actions of the receiver which indicates that he has received and understood the message of the sender. The noise means some obstruction or some hindrance to communication. This hindrance may be caused due to the sender or the message or the receiver. Some examples of noise are ambiguous symbols that lead to faulty encoding, a poor telephone connection, an inattentive receiver, a faulty decoding attaching wrong meanings to the message, prejudices obstructing the poor understanding of message, gestures and postures that may distort the message. A communication is a central aspect of managerial activities because it is of great importance. That is why we have to study this in its details. It has been estimated that a manager spends 90% of his time in communicating, reading, writing, listening, guiding, instructing, approving, reprimanding, etc. effectively. This is the key word. With his superiors, subordinates, external agencies such as bankers, suppliers, union and maybe the government. Bernard from American Management Association, he has called communication as the foundation or the central aspect of all group activities. Communication, it serves as the lubricant fostering smooth operations of the management process. Communication acts as a basis of coordination. It provides coordination among departments, activities, persons in the organization by explaining about organization goals, the mode of their achievement and the interrelationship between the different individuals in the organization, etc. It is only communication which makes smooth working of an enterprise possible. Communication is basic to an organization's existence. The job of a manager is to coordinate the human and the physical elements of an organization into an efficient and active working unit that achieves its common objectives. Only the basis of communication of relevant information can make right decisions in an organization. Communication acts as a basis for any decision making. Communication helps increase the managerial efficiencies of a manager. Communication is essential for quick and effective performance of all managerial functions. The management conveys the goals, the targets, the issues, the instructions, and he allocates jobs, responsibilities to look after the performance of his subordinates. It is important that he communicates with them in a very smooth manner. Communication is involved in all these aspects. Efficient operation is the aim of all prudent management. Two-way communication promotes cooperation and mutual understanding between the management and the workers, and thus it promotes industrial peace in the long run. Communication establishes effective leadership. It is the basis of an very effective leader. The communication helps to influence the subordinates and to clarify their issues. An efficient system of communication enables the management to motivate, influence, and satisfy the subordinates. Communication is the basis of participative and democratic pattern of management. Communication thus, it helps to boost the morale of the employees and the managers in an organization. Let us now learn about the classification of communication. Communication can broadly be classified into formal and informal communication in an organization. Formal communication flows through official channels designed in the organization chart. This communication may take place between superior and subordinate, a subordinate and superior, or same cadre employees or the managers. The communications can be oral or written, but generally recorded and filed in the office. Formal communication may be further classified as vertical and horizontal. Vertical communication flows vertically, upwards or downwards through formal channels. Upward communication refers to flow of communication from subordinate to superior, like applications for grant of leave, submissions of progress reports, the requests for grants, etc. Downward communication indicates communication from a superior to subordinate. Example of these would be sending notice to employees to attend a meeting, ordering subordinates to complete an assigned work, passing on guidelines framed by top management to the subordinates, etc. Horizontal or lateral communication takes place between one division and another. For example, a production manager may contact a marketing manager to discuss about schedule of product delivery, product design, quality, etc. Different types of communication networks may operate in a formal organization. Some of the popular patterns are the chain, the wheel, the circular, the free flow, or the inverted wheel. These are the patterns or the network which can be used in a formal communication. Say a single chain. This network exists between a supervisor and his subordinates. Since many levels exist in an organization structure, communication flows from every superior to his subordinate. In wheel network, all subordinates under one superior communicate through him only, as he acts as a hub of the wheel. In a circular pattern, the communication moves in circles. Each person can communicate with his adjoining two persons. In a free flow pattern, each person can communicate with others freely. In an inverted V network, this network says that a subordinate is allowed to communicate with his immediate superior as well as his superior's superior. However, in latter case, only prescribed communication. Now we come to the informal communication. Informal communication spreads throughout the organization, with its branches going out in all directions in utter disregard of all levels of authority. It can be referred to as grapevine. It arises because of the needs of the employees to exchange views. Informal communication spreads rapidly and sometimes gets distorted. It is very difficult to detect the source of such communication. It also leads to generate rumors which are not authentic. People's behavior is affected by rumors and informal discussions, and sometimes may even hamper work environment. Sometimes grapevine channels may be helpful as they carry information rapidly, and channels therefore may be used to the manager's assistance at times. Informal channels are used by the managers to transmit information so as to know the reactions of his subordinates. An intelligent manager should make use of positive aspects of informal communication. Like the patterns discussed earlier of a formal communication, we have various patterns of informal communication. Grapevine communication may follow different types of network. In a single strand network, each person communicates to the other in sequence. In gossip network, each person communicates with all on non-selective basis. In probability network, the individual communicates randomly with other individuals. In a cluster, the individual communicates only with those people whom he trusts. Of the 4 types of network I spoke just now, cluster is the most popular informal communication in organizations. In a communication, a manager has to face several problems due to communication breakdown or barriers. So let us now discuss the barriers of communication. These barriers may prevent a communication or filter part of it or carry incorrect meaning, due to which misunderstandings may be created. They are broadly grouped as semantic barriers, psychological barriers, organizational barriers, and personal barriers. Semantic barriers are those concerned with problems and obstructions in the process of encoding and decoding of message into words or impressions. A badly expressed message, sometimes intended meaning may not be conveyed by a manager to his subordinates on account of inadequate vocabulary, usage of wrong words, omission of the needed words, etc. Symbols with different meanings. A word may have several meanings. Receiver has to perceive one such meaning for the word used by the communicator. Wrong perception leads to communication problems. Faulty translations. Sometimes the communications originally drafted in one language, say English, needs to be translated to the language understandable to the workers, example Hindi. Proficiency in language and mistakes creeping in are factors affecting messages. Unclarified assumptions. Some communications may have certain assumptions which are subject to different interpretations. For example, take care of our guest may mean all transport, food, accommodation, etc. till the guest leaves. it may be interpreted differently by the employee. Technical jargon. It is usually found that specialists use technical jargon while explaining to persons who are not specialists in the concerned field. There is lack of communication again. Body language and gestures in decoding. Every movement of body communicates some meaning. They should be matched for correct expression, or they may be wrongly perceived. Now let us come to psychological barriers. The state of mind of both sender and receiver of communication reflects in the effective communication. Example, a worried sender and an angry receiver cannot understand the real message. People evaluate the message even before the sender completes it. Premature evaluation may be due to preconceived notions or prejudices against the communication. There may be lack of attention. The preoccupied mind of the receiver and the resultant non-listening of the message can act as a major psychological barrier. There is loss of transmission and poor retention at times. When communication passes through various levels, especially successive transmissions of oral message, poor retention and inattentiveness results in inaccurate information. At times, distrust between the communicator and the communicated also acts as a barrier, as they do not believe each other and hence do not understand the message in the original sense. Let us now discuss some of the organizational barriers to effective communication. They are mostly in the organizational policy. If the organizational policy, explicit or implicit, is not supportive to free flow of communication, that is, highly centralized organization pattern, people may not have free communication. Organizational facilities like frequent meetings, suggestion boxes, complaint boxes, social and cultural gathering, transparency in operation, etc., they encourage free flow of communication. Rules and regulations may be rigid and cumbersome. These procedures may be a hurdle to communication, especially if communication is done only through prescribed channels. A status-conscious manager may not allow his subordinates to express their feelings freely. He may create a psychological distance. There is complexity in organization structure at times, where there are a number of managerial levels. Communication gets delayed and distorted as a number of filtering points are increased. Now, the final personal barriers to a communication. The personal factors of both the sender and the receiver may exert influence on effective communication. At times, there is a fear of challenge to authority. If a superior perceives that a particular communication may adversely affect his authority, he may withhold it. Other times, there may be lack of confidence of the superior on his subordinates, that they may not seek their advice or opinion for any matter. Likewise, unwillingness to communicate on the part of the subordinates if they perceive that it may adversely affect their interest. There may be lack of proper incentives. If there is no motivation, they may not give any initiative or useful suggestions because no rewards and appreciations are following. So, the most important thing is communication effectiveness. Organizations keen on developing effective communication should adopt suitable measures to overcome these barriers and improve the communication. Firstly, clarify the ideas before communication. It should be clear in all its perspective to the executive himself. The entire problem should be studied in depth analyzed and stated in such a manner that is clearly conveyed to the subordinates. Secondly, communicate according to the needs of the receiver. The level of understanding of the receiver should be crystal clear to the communicator. Thirdly, consult others. It is better to involve others in developing a plan for communication. Participation and involvement of subordinates helps to gain ready acceptance and willing cooperation of the subordinates. Fourthly, beware of languages, tone and the content of message. The language should be understandable to the receiver. It should not offend the listeners, and the message should be stimulating to at least evoke response from the listeners. Lastly, convey things of help and value to the listeners. If the message relates directly or indirectly to his interests and needs, it will certainly evoke response and communication further. What is important is to ensure a proper feedback regarding the messages conveyed. Response of the receiver helps to improve the communication process. Communicate for present as well as the future, because you have to maintain a consistency in the aim and the goals of the organization. There should be regular follow-up in communications, because this helps in removing the hurdle and implementing instructions clearly. But above all, be a good listener. Listening solves half the problems, and it gives an indication of interest to the subordinates. So, with this, we conclude the complex managerial function of directing, which has elements of supervision, motivation, leadership and communication in the organization. Thank you.